Hello and welcome to the latest episode of 13th Man Football CFL Weekly Show. It's Shane alongside Coach Phil and Blake. There is no Cole today because he has other responsibilities that he has to deal with tonight. So you're stuck with us three. And it was an entertaining
Thank
week.
God. That means it won't be a 2-hour show.
That's true. Should be about an hour and a half. But we love you, Cole. Don't worry. No shots. Just facts.
Love you,
But
Cole.
before we jump into the exciting week 3 games, there's been a couple of things that have popped off on CFL social media over the last 4 or 5 days that I feel like we need to talk about a little bit. And if you're unsure about what we're talking about, you're I'm glad because you don't want to know about everything. But we'll dive into it. Friday night football sideline reporter Luke Wilson has ruffled. I wouldn't say ruffled. I feel like ruffled is the wrong word. Probably like plucked, thrown. Has really stirred up a conversation over the last like 3 weeks about how he feels about the CFL, where the CFL needs to go, what's wrong with the CFL, what's wrong with the CFL community, and all that fun stuff. So, Blake, I'm gonna let you go first and tell me what you think about everything going on because I feel like Coach is gonna go on a rant. And I got a couple of things, to say. So
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Coach goes on a rant. I will say though, for anyone that tunes in to the CFF channel, it's a good thing that I know we'll talk about the games here in a minute, but it's a good thing I wasn't on the post game with Cole because I was pretty hot after that Lions game last weekend. But that's not what you asked me about, Shane. You asked me about Luke Wilson, and it's
bro just said, nope, I'm done. I'm not answering this question. They just was like, all right, bye.
They cut us off. Oh shit. Oh
Man.
no, Blake.
His internet really just said, we're not going to talk about this today. That's his FBI agent being like, I'm going to save yourself right now.
Save yourself. Oh shit. That is. We gotta clip that. That's funny. That's funny. Oh.
He gone. Okay, so Coach, you go into it. Let us know your thoughts about this whole Luke Wilson situation as Blake gets himself sorted.
Only Blake does shit like this happen to.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, no,
I'm
let him
back.
go. Let him cook. Let him cook.
All right. Okay, now let's try this again without being interrupted.
I've turned on my do not disturb, so that won't happen again. I promise. Every week I get a phone call during the show. Every week without fail.
Clearly, someone's a busy man.
Yeah.
He's a
But
dad.
anyways, no. Shane, you asked me about Luke Wilson, and it's like I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the guy because he does bring up some good points. He has some good points. He talked about something that we talked about on this show last week, like in the weekly show about like the ratio and stuff like that and this and this. But I also feel like he is alienating part of the population. And it's like he's putting people into categories like these are the best CFL fans, these are the worst CFL fans. We can all have our opinions on certain people. I know there's people that like people that I know that have opinions on certain people that have been in that list of worst CFL fans, but I don't understand his methods. Like I get why he's doing it. I get he's been hired by TSN. I get all that stuff. But why alienate half of your fan base potentially? Like what good does it do you? It really doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And for lack of a better term, like I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it either personally. I think he's doing like a disservice for what he's trying to do. I get he's trying to probably do engagement. I just don't understand his methods. They just seem counterintuitive.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Coach, you got something to add to it? Feel like you're ready to talk?
Now go ahead. I'll go last.
Okay. For me, I don't know. I think some of the things he said are right. Personally, talking about how the penalties in the Saskatchewan Toronto game, the 29 penalties for 300 yards, that's a problem, and that's not just a CFL problem. I think that's an NFL problem. Like that's a football problem. When you have a game that's bogged down by penalties, it's just not fun to watch, right? I think we can all agree that like penalty-ridden games are always the hardest to watch. My thing that I think doesn't get enough talk is that unlike the NFL, where if you have 4 or 5 bad games, they can be hidden around any good game that you have. That's the beauty of being a 32 team league, is that you are like no one wants to watch like Tennessee and Cleveland on a Sunday afternoon put up a total of 40 points, and they're going to say that's a good football game. That's not a good football game. But they can hide those games with a KC Buffalo game or a Green Bay Eagles game that puts up 70 points and is just highlight after highlight, because a catch on the sideline is always going to be a highlight in the NFL. The CFL, we don't have that luxury of hiding a bad game. If you're if you have one bad game, it's in the spotlight because we have one game a day now. We're in the Sunday through Sunday or Thursday through Sunday territory. Everything is going to be amplified, good and bad. I feel like he's spending too much time on the bad. And to say that a 99-yard kickoff return isn't great, isn't exciting, isn't fun, you're dismissing the type of athletes that the CFL has and the type of plays that the CFL does. So I think there's some good, and there are definitely some people that need a wake up call in the CFL. There are definitely some media members and some older fans that need to understand that like for the game to grow, it needs to change. It can't just be what it was in the 60s, the 70s, and 80s, and you do expect to be the same. Like no sports league is like that. But you also can't sit here and say that they're wrong and say that they're bad fans or they're nimrods and stuff like that, and say that like better than they do just because they don't want to change. So that's my take. I'm gonna leave it at that before I say something I might regret. Coach, your turn.
Well, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I ain't afraid to say what the fuck I'm gonna say. Let me start off by saying old boy made valid points. The game, me and you talked about it off camera, Shane. The game doesn't go backwards. It only goes forward and it evolves. I understand the purist. I understand the people, and we have that here in the States with the NBA. The NBA discourse is disgusting. The NFL discourse is disgusting at times. Not as bad, but I feel like a lot of what he's saying I've heard when it comes to like the NBA. And it's just nasty work. It's nasty work. And the way he's saying it and alienating and dividing fan bases, like Blake said, it's disgusting, but it's working to his benefit. Because he ain't saying shit that ain't been said privately between people. He ain't saying shit that's not been said, ratio, the big plays, all that. Like it's football. Like, you're not going to get a bunch of big-ass plays. You're not going to get the downfield plays all the time because you got a defense out there that's trying to – it depends on your defense and what you're trying to do and take away from a team. You can't stop everything, but you're not going to get up the big play. So I understand it's not possible. It's not realistic. Like, come on. If you say football, and I give him credit, he got 8-9 years in the NFL, but the NFL game is different from the CFL game. So you got to become a student of the game and be able to talk that shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying I know all the ins. I know football, but I ain't saying I know all the ins and outs of the CFL just yet. But I'm willing to learn and be educated. You know what I'm saying? He has to be willing to do that. You can't. You just, if you're gonna talk your shit, talk your shit. But bro, don't be disrespectful. Don't be disrespectful. That's what I feel like he's doing. He's being disrespectful, and my uncle used to always say, "It's not about the message. It's did you get the message?" There's truth to what he's saying. So I'm kind of 50-50, but bro, you gotta chill. You gotta
I
chill
will
with some of the shit you saying.
I will say another issue that isn't talked about is the lack of creativity around offenses.
Yes.
Right? If you watch an offense, it's the same thing. Every offense in the CFL is the same. It's a 3-2 setup. You got your three waggle, and you just try to beat them off the waggle. Like you try to create separation. There's no crossing. There's no real like line of scrimmage work that you see in the NFL when they realistically that's the only way to gain an advantage. You're not seeing a 4-1 setup where someone comes across cross the field through the line unless it's a run play. You don't really see any type of setup where you can move the defense to create something downhill consistently. And maybe that's the play clock. Is the 20-second play clock too short where it doesn't allow those types of plays to develop? Maybe we have a conversation around that before we start changing everything else. Maybe the play clock goes from 20 to 30 seconds. I don't know.
Offensively, I mean, that comes down to the offense that you're running, and that depends on the personnel. That's all it is. I mean, you're not going to be able to do certain things in your offense if you don't have the personnel to do it, and that's kind of hard in the CFL because there's not a lot of. They got speedsters, but they don't have a Tyreek Hill. They don't have a Brandon Banks that can take the top off, go across the field, run some mesh, run certain routes. It's not there. But I don't know. It's creatively, and it's kind of predictable. It depends on the quarterback. You know what you're getting when you have a Bo Levi Mitchell. You run an offense. We've talked about it before. You run an offense catered to what Bo can do to his strengths. And his offense is predictable. Same thing with the Riders a couple years ago. You knew exactly what the Riders were going to do offensively. You're going to see a bubble screen. You're going to see a tunnel screen. You're going to see them try to run the ball. You're going to see inside zone. It's all predictable. So I don't know. There needs to be some more creativity, but the rules have to be bent a little bit, like the NFL does, where they can be more creative with what they do.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, yeah, but I feel like the rules already allow for pretty creative play calling in the CFL, right? You have the waggle. That itself, I mean, you put an offensive mind from the NFL, like Andy Reid or Ben Johnson, whoever you want to consider an offensive mind, you put him in the CFL with a waggle. You're probably seeing some pretty crazy play calling, on a week-to-week basis. And especially now that like the player turnover isn't as great as it was even like 10 years ago, the idea of having to put in a new offense or have new personnel every year to learn an offense isn't that big of a deal anymore. And maybe, if you expand the, actual training camp and you have OTAs and you have things like that, maybe you allow the offenses to install those things more versus just trying to install a base offense in 2.5, 3 weeks.
But that's what we see a lot of just base. They're playing it. A lot of offense I've seen, they're playing it safe. They're trying not to turn the ball over so much. They're trying to have ball control. They're trying to be not necessarily cute with what they're doing, but they're cognizant of what they're doing. And they don't want to take any calculated risk, but hey, who am I to judge?
Sometimes you need to make a calculated risk before.
You take some calculated risk, throw that bitch up, and go do what you got to do. But as far as the creativity of offenses are, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much. And defenses are getting smarter and getting hip to the game. Give credit to the defenses. They are getting hip to a lot of the shit that you see like a Buck Pierce do, a Jordan McKisnick. You see it. Why do you think Buck hasn't been successful in the Grey Cups the last 3 years? His offense gets very predictable, but there's results to it. Unlike for the Lions right now, but
Yeah, I mean, also, I think one thing that doesn't get talked about is special teams. I don't know why we don't see someone on side on special teams on every punt. Put someone behind the kicker on every punt to go retrieve that ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're like, I know why, because they want an extra person in the box, protection. But if you have that guy that's back there, that your fastest guy, the minute that punt is off the foot, he is downfield tracking it. They're not going to be rushing about that. They're not going to be worrying about that punt to try to block it. They're going to try to make sure that guy doesn't get down to the field to recover the punt because he doesn't have to deal with the 5 yards. They're just like the punter. The punter doesn't have to deal with the 5 yards. It's a live ball for them. Some extra possessions right there. So I don't know. I think there's things that need to be changed. I don't really think they need to be as drastic as some people are saying, but I don't know. We're not part of the rules committee. We're not the ones getting paid to make these decisions.
Not yet.
Not yet. But before, I got one more thing to talk about. I want your guys' opinion on it because it's kind of now ingrained in sports culture. LeBron James earlier on the week made a comment, I think, on Steve Nash's podcast around ring culture and how, ring culture is used to negatively talk about players' careers and how someone is viewed in a different light just because they didn't win a championship. And I just wanted your guys' opinion because, in my opinion, I don't think championships should count at all in a regards to talking about an individual's performance, an individual's career, outside of like tennis and golf, where you really are just like an individual playing an individual sport. Championships shouldn't matter in team sports at the end of the day. I just wanted your guys' opinion and see where you guys like. 'Cause apparently, this has been a hot topic along almost everything nowadays. Is especially with this one is the ring culture. So, Coach, I'll let you go first. Or actually, Blake, you go first. You haven't talked in a while. You got cut off, and then you stopped talking.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's another one that's a tough question. Like, because how do we determine the GOATs? Like, we don't determine the GOATs. Like, I'll use hockey as an example. Like, Joe Thornton is is widely considered one of the greatest players to ever play the game, but he never wore a ring. So whether we want to debate it or not, society sometime along the line, especially sports society, has determined that how many rings you win or whether you win one determines whether you're one of the greatest of all time. Like, we have Josh Allen, for example, and I know Cole's not here, he would defend him. But we have Josh Allen, for example. Arguably, he's still pretty young. If my memory serves correct, he's not even 30 yet. So let's say he plays for 10 more years, throws for 30,000 more yards, is in the playoffs almost every year, but he never wins a ring. Is he going to be in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, for sure. But would he be talked about as one of the greatest of all time? No, probably not, because he never won a ring. So it's just like, whether we agree with it or not, rings determine in team sports, rings determine how great you are. Like, look at all the all-time greats in the CFL. Like, we just talked about him a moment ago. As a head coach now, but Buck Pierce as an offensive coordinator, he has 2 rings, but he lost 3 rings, and people talk more about the 3 rings that he lost than the 2 rings that he won.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, what about Dan Marino or AI? Guys who put up career, considered arguably top of their position to never win a ring. Are they in the same, can they be in the same conversation as guys who put up less points but actually won a ring, right? Think about it. Nick Foles comes in for an injured Carson Wentz, leads Philly through 5 games for a Super Bowl. Are we really going to say that Nick Foles is a higher rated quarterback career wise than Josh Allen just because he has that one ring? That's the conversation. Is that my opinion that you have these situational players that get put in really good situations to lead a championship team to a ring, and you have these really high end players that never get that situation. And are we gonna like? How are we evaluating rings in that way?
Yeah, it's a good question because like Nick Foles is not a better quarterback than Josh Allen. Let's call it what it is. Like just because, as you said, he came in for 4 or 5 games and then led the Eagles to a playoff run and had arguably one of the greatest trick plays of ever, does not make him a greater quarterback than Josh Allen.
And then, what about backups, right? Like those second guys.
They don't count. They don't count.
But if you have a guy who wins a ring as like a second year as a backup, then goes on to have, a decent to good or above average career as a starter, does that ring automatically put him above other players who had great careers? Like if let's for example, if LA doesn't win a ring, they don't win that Super Bowl. Is Aaron Darnold still probably the best defensive tackle to ever play the game?
Yeah.
Over a guy like Warren Sapp who won a ring, and that's why I figure this ring conversation is very interesting. But Coach, what's your take?
My take is this: are you playing for stats? Or are you playing for wins? Cut and dry, plain and simple. And a lot of players will tell you, "I'm playing to win a ring," because at the end of the day, if you don't have a ring on your resume, it's all for nothing. They'll tell you that. You could have all the stats in the world. You could be all CFL, all NBA, all pro, whatever. But at the end of the day, a lot of them will tell you, I'm playing for a ring. Now, there are some of them that'll tell you, hey, I'm playing for the money. They won't say it outright, but there's some that'll tell you, I'm playing for the money, or I'm playing for this, I'm playing for that, or a better situation for my family. Go do that. But at the end of the day, it's cut and dry. Did you win or did you lose? I'm of the ilk. I'm from the cloth of, hey, I'm about winning. Not just speaking as a coach, but speaking as a former player. Nothing else mattered but winning. So the individual stuff is cool, but if you want to be great, you got to win a ring. And in CFL terms, I had a conversation with Milt Stiegel on the channel, and he was at peace with his career. There's not everybody's going to be like that, but for Milt's is the one that you hear all the time. He's one of the greatest to never win a ring, but he's at peace with it. So the media let the media and the fans do all that GOAT talk and who's this and who's that. I think that shit's stupid. I really do. I honestly think that that's stupid because there's so many great players and every situation is different. Man, go win a ring. Ring culture does matter if you want to be in the conversation of greats. But if you're just like I said, a backup or a guy that comes in and makes a run like Nick Foles, you're not in that conversation. Let's be realistic, man. Come on. Let's. I hate when people do that stupid shit when they try to put a backup in that conversation of greats. There's levels to this. There is levels. So let's not fool ourselves, people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting conversation. And I feel like it really all started in the 90s. Like, with Jordan going to 6 and winning 6 and him really owning that, like, the 6 and 6 and really put a name on the championships. I feel like it wasn't, and maybe it's because sports media has, like, evolved so much since the 90s, but I definitely feel like the Jordan LeBron conversation really amplified rings mattering or not.
But I think that's so stupid, man. You can't compare the eras. The rules are different. Even in CFL terms, I'm speaking just strictly CFL terms. We see this discourse only really in basketball because basketball is one guy can take over a game. At football, it's not the same. You got to have all the right pieces at the right time. Everybody got to be on the right page. It's hard to sit there and say who's the GOAT. That's why those lists, I laugh at those lists. People saying who's the greatest of all time. It's like you can't really say that. You can't. Every position is different. Everybody's role is different. You know what I'm saying? So it's just trivial. That's media and fans that do that shit because it's talking. It gets clicks, it gets engagement, it gets all that, and it's toxic as fuck. Players don't do that. There's none of that conversation in locker rooms of I'm the greatest of all time. No, there's not that. It's not realistic. There's no such and another thing, there's no such thing as bulletin board material. That's nothing that pisses me off. Me, like he put it up on the bulletin board. No, he didn't. Just be making shit up.
I don't know. I feel like some players definitely listen too much to the media.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just that they're the more vocal ones, but I definitely feel like, at least in the last 10 years, at least in maybe not so much in the CFL, where they kind of push things to a side, but I think, hockey, especially recently, you're starting to see a lot more players dive into the whole underdog disrespect kind of mentality where it's like, oh, people thought of this. They thought about us about this or about that, and like we had to show them wrong. I feel like that's definitely starting to leak into more and more sports, and it's starting to get younger too. I feel like it's starting to see more at the NCAA level, even in Canada. It seems like the U Sports level is also getting more of that underdog mentality is really starting to seep in more and more year over year, and it's kind of concerning. Like it is a little concerning from a former player and like an outside perspective, like that underdog mentality seeping in more and more. Like everyone is an underdog and everyone has to prove everyone right. And like for me, it's starting to be a little concerning where you have these kids or like young adults who think that the world's against them on any given day just because they feel like that. It's concerning.
But I heard I don't know, I saw it on social media. Someone said you don't see the disrespect from former players in the NFL. You only see it in basketball. Or in hockey, you don't really see the old timers being disrespectful. Maybe I'm wrong, but you don't really saw the old timers being disrespectful to the younger generation because, like we said earlier, the game moves forward. Give them their flowers, give them their respect, but you also got to realize as a young player, you got to earn that respect. You have to earn that shit. That's why you got to go win. We're not just going to give you, and that's old school. You got to prove it to me. You got to show me. You can't just say you're great and then you flounder. Look at and I'm probably dating myself, but look at like someone like Eric Lindros. They hyped that man up to the moon. He was going to Quebec. He didn't want to go to Quebec. Went to Philadelphia. They hyped him up forever, and he didn't win shit. But was he? You know what I'm saying? Like it's that type of shit that gets me sometimes. Where yeah, not everybody is a damn underdog, like you said, Shane. But having a chip on your shoulder, that's different. You have a chip on your shoulder. You're on mute.
There's a big difference between a chip on your shoulder, in my opinion, versus thinking that like your team is like 18 games above 500. You're playing a team that's 20 games above 500 and you're the underdog. Like the idea of like an even series or an even matchup is completely lost nowadays. It's either massive favorites and they should wipe the floor with them, or like it's an underdog. And every time like a lower seed or a lower standing team wins against a higher standing team, it's like, oh, they overcame. They're an underdog, came out top. It's an upset win. And it's like, man, the 2 games separate them. That's not an upset. That's an even matchup that can go either way. That like they won by 7. It's not an upset. That's just an even matchup. That's just quality sports.
But are you playing to the standards of what the media's put on you, or are you playing to your own standards that you have as a team? There's a difference there. There's a huge difference because if you're focused on what the media is saying, fam, you're gonna lose every time because you're trying to live up to what that criteria that they put on you. Whereas if you have a standard, your coach, your organization has a standard of winning, a winning culture, you live up to that more. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I was just saying, like, if you're an athlete and you're just feeding off what the media is saying, or what fans are saying about being an underdog or not being good enough to beat a team that's only 2 wins ahead of you, I think that's where the problems really start, where you're like, I'm not good enough to, like, taking that as like a disrespect for no reasons. Like, and I think the media has a huge part in it because they just overhype everything.
Yeah.
They overhype, and they're the first ones to call out like a team struggling after losing like 3 games, and like they're the ones hitting the panic button nowadays.
And they
It's
want you
crazy.
to leave, and they want you. I saw that shit when the Stanley Cup happened. They didn't say anything. They talked about Florida. They said how good the Panthers were and all that. But then the first thing I heard out of Canada was, does Connor need to leave Edmonton to win a Stanley Cup?
Yep.
Damn, like, why he gotta leave to go win? He just lost the Stanley Cup. Like, who's to say he won't get back next year and run the table? Like, that shit irks me, where they want somebody to leave and because they put that criteria on them. Oh my God, I want to win. I want to do it where I did it. It's oh God, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think media nowadays it's all about hype. It's all about clicks and over exaggerations and oversaturated of, like, you know, I think, Kevin Durant's a perfect example of it, right? Talking about his career being watered down because he's played for 5 teams, right? Like things like that, where it's just straight, I wouldn't say crazy, but like just it baffles me, right? If someone plays for 5 teams and it's considered a watered down on their career, but people talk about it with KD, but no one mentions it with like someone like Shaq, played for like 8 teams.
It's from motherfuckers who have never bounced the ball, thrown a football, hit a puck, ain't did shit.
Nothing.
They ain't did not now one thing, so they automatically think that because they there's just between watching the game and watching the game. I said it on Instagram the other day. Couldn't tell in football terms, they couldn't tell you how to break down a practice film. They can't tell you how to look at all 22, all 24, all 23 film at all. They couldn't tell you how to set up a coverage. They can't tell you how to do now one diddly piece of shit, but they quit to tell you about your career and how you are as a player. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I saw that little story thread that you
I saw
posted.
that too.
I'm like, I was wondering what that was about. We talk about it because I figured it had to do with one of these 2 topics.
Well, it did because it's just stupid. It's stupid how it's so dumb. And I know some people gonna see this and like, well, what is it? I do this shit for a fucking living. So, mother, like, if you never have been in, if you ain't never put on a helmet, if you ain't never did now one thing that comes to sports, you have no room to fucking talk. Everybody's a Monday morning quarterback. Everybody got an opinion because they're jealous that they could not do what the pros do. And I'm speaking specifically for the players who get so much flack and so much criticism because they get paid all this money. And if people automatically think because you make all this money, you are supposed to be the top dog. And it don't work like that, man. It's so baseline. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be it's definitely an interesting situation in today's day and age, with a lot of former players coming onto the media scene, being part of the first takes and whatnot. So, and again, they are mostly basketball players, which is great because it provides personality that I wish we had up in Canada. I will say, I wish we had TV talk shows like First Take and NBA Live and stuff like that with a little bit more personality. But I feel like there's a lot of disrespect on those shows. It's a lot of like BS and a lot of oversimplification of things, and very like linear and not very nuanced and no context and stuff like that. But let's get to the heart of the episode. And the reason why we're here, CFL football week 3, kicking off in Edmonton for their home opener, was a better showing on the scoreboard than it actually was on the field.
Yeah.
Edmonton got their asses handed to them in the first half, and all the way up until the fourth quarter, really, where they put up basically all their points. They put 25 of the 28 points in the fourth quarter. Davis Alexander got hurt with allowing McLeod Bethel Thompson to come in. I believe he's expected to start this week. I don't think Alexander has practiced so far for Montreal, but we'll start with Montreal and Edmonton. What did you guys think? What did you guys have to say? I'm going to quickly just jump in and let you guys talk. Is that Trey Ford is not a winning quarterback in the CFL. I will die on this hill.
We are
Not
starting.
again.
Dude is a first-read quarterback, and it showed in the first half again. So that's all I'm going to say about this game. Montreal dominated. They went in. They kicked them across the field. Trey Ford is a first-read quarterback. He pulls it and runs. There's a reason why they only have 9 points in the first half through 2 games. But, yeah, as far as yours, guys, to talk about it, because that's all I got to say.
Yeah, no, Montreal dominated this game. It's so unfortunate that Davis Alexander got hurt because when he did get hurt halfway through the third quarter, he was 20 of 24 for about 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he was on pace for probably 5 touchdowns and 400 yards. The Elks gave them their fans something to cheer about in the fourth quarter, but if this is the Elks team that we're going to see the rest of the year, buckle up, Elks fans, because I think, unfortunately, and until they decide that Trey's had enough, you're going to be in for a lot of losing football and a lot of pain.
It was such an ugly game to watch. It was so brutal. I was more frustrated with their Edmonton's defense.
Yeah.
I was more frustrated because you got Jake, you got Niles, you got Nick. That secondary is rough around the edges right now. They're not playing to what they were last season, even though they were 7-9, 7-10, whatever. Like they just don't look like a defense that I know they can be. As far as Montreal looking hot. Davis right now, 3 weeks in, looking like an MOP candidate, staying healthy, bar none. Boys playing really good football. The jury is still out, but hey, they're playing complete football right now at all 3 levels. You gotta love it.
Got anything to add to that, Blake?
No, just like Montreal is. I mean, we'll have to see how long the injury is for Davis Alexander, but hopefully it's not a long-term injury. I mean, they can survive a week or 2 with McLeod Bethel Thompson, but with the way the East has looked, and I know Ottawa looked a little bit better last week, but they're pretty clearly the class of the East through 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say, even if Alexander's out short term, I mean, their Montreal schedule, they play Friday against Hamilton, and then they play next Saturday on the 5th against BC, and then they have their bye week. So, 2 weeks of McLeod Bethel Thompson, make sure Davis Alexander is like 100% right before coming back in for week 7. I mean, this is why you want to make that trade, right? McLeod Bethel Thompson can be a short-term starter. But yeah, I mean, hopefully Alexander's out for a week because you don't want to see starter QBs out too long. And I mean, we already have potentially some QBs missing this week. But going into game 2, Saskatchewan Toronto. That game was a lot closer than it looked at start. Again, another Saskatchewan frustrating game. I assume Coach Phil was not very happy with. 39-32 for Saskatchewan off a walk-off field goal or walk-off touchdown on a kickoff for Alfred. Coach, you go first. It's a 7-point win after having I think a 14-point lead at some point in the third quarter, heading into the fourth quarter. Must be frustrating.
I've just accepted. Look, a win's a win, but What are we doing? What are we doing, man? Like all those penalties, all these damn penalties. Just come on. What are we doing out there? But it's part of the game. Penalties will catch up with you down the line, but right now, get those penalties out the way and just be more disciplined as a unit. That's all. Just we got to be more disciplined and not and cut out the mistakes, the mental mistakes. And it seems like the last these 3 games we've had, we have a different receiver stepping up big time. So I'm okay with that. AJ, good run, good touchdown. Trevor, for the most part, I can live with the performance, and I ain't gonna go off.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a much closer game than I thought. I was tuning into this game as much as I could. I didn't see the whole game, but I was flipping back and forth, looking at the score case. Saskatchewan's in control, and then all of a sudden, Trevor Harris throws a pick from his own end zone, basically that turns into a fairly easy pick six. Then the Riders were still up 7, and you thought Brett Lawther was going to line up for a fairly easy kick to put the game out of reach, and he missed again. So you got to wonder if maybe the Riders, because this is 2 weeks in a row. I know he's been your kicker for a few years now, but if this goes on for another week or two, do you look at the very least bringing someone in to try and at least push him? And that allowed the Argos to stay in the game, only down by 8. They drove down the field, got the touchdown, got the 2-point convert. But then it was the Argos' turn to completely shoot themselves in the foot because apparently they forgot how to count to 12 and were a man short on the kickoff return. And as is usually the case when something like that happens, Mario Alford took full advantage because he took the lane that was vacated by most likely that 12th man and ran it back for, as you said, Shane, what was basically a walk-off touchdown. I know the Argos, they had a fairly decent kickoff return of their own off that touchdown, got it to midfield. They wanted one more play. They wanted a penalty, but they didn't get that. So it was basically a walk-off kickoff return for Mario Alford and the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, and I mean, give Toronto credit to the most part, right? Being able to come in, battle back, get that 2-point conversion, and tie it so late in the game, just to have such a massive brain fart and lose it the way they did. I understand why Dinwiddie kind of ripped into the team. Even I'm not huge on public, like coaches ripping their team in public and like through the media, but that game 100% deserved. You don't go on the field with 11 men. Like that's just inexcusable, and like, especially on a kickoff. It's one thing if it's like
They had a
defense.
timeout left, did they not, as well?
No, they didn't. I think Saskatchewan had one left, but Toronto didn't. So it's inexcusable. I will say I am, again, this kind of the typical Trevor Harris offense. He has 11 red zone passing attempts and only 6 completions. He's 54.5% passing in the red zone. He 3 of his 5 TDs through 3 games. You know, it's still impressive, but that's points off the board. Right? You probably, if you're 11-8, 11-9, you're probably putting up a couple more points. Those games are probably a little bit more out of reach. You know, you're probably not stressing about winning by 5. So, you know, if he is playing this week or if he's not, that's probably a number that he wants to clean up, because that could come back and bite you, right? We saw it with Calgary. And that's the next game we're going to talk about is the Ottawa-Calgary game. Ottawa wins a sloppy one in Calgary, 20-12. After Calgary had 2 opportunities early in the game in the red zone to put it away, and they turned the ball over on downs both times. Very, very wet, very cold, windy game, but an absolute slosh fest. And passing was non-existent that game. But, you know, Ottawa gets a win. Calgary gets their first loss. VA struggled. Not having Beggleton definitely hurt.
Mhm.
But yeah, Blake, we'll let you go first on this one. What were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, my first thought is I know they're 2-1, and I know that Saturday's game was in a monsoon, but in the back of their mind, should Calgary fans be a little bit worried about VA? Like he has not thrown. This is now 3 games in a row, and I know they didn't reach the end zone at all, but this is now 3 games in a row where he has not thrown a touchdown pass. As you said, Shane, they had 2 red zone drives late in the, or pardon me, in the first half of that game. They turned the ball over twice. They also had 2 drives late in that game in the final 5, 6 minutes when they were down 8, where they had a chance to potentially do what Toronto did and at the very least tie the game and force it to overtime, and they couldn't get it done. So I know it's going to be big losing Beggleton, but you would expect guys like Philpott, some of the other receivers to step up for Calgary. I think really this proved 2 things. One, Ottawa's not as bad as everyone potentially thought after their 0-2 start. And two, Calgary is not as good as potentially everyone thought after their 2-0 start. Um, I truly believe that, you know, I mean, we'll talk about this game again in a minute, but like for that, on paper, the Riders should win the West, but that second, 3 and 4 seed are really up for grabs, in my opinion, between Winnipeg, Calgary, and BC. All 3 of those teams, like Calgary, I don't think has looked their best even in their wins. We know, and like of course with me being the Lions fan, that the Lions have played nowhere near their best. And even in both of their wins over the Lions, especially last week, I don't think Winnipeg played that great as well. So I truly believe all 3 of those spots are up for grabs in the Western Division.
I
Yeah, go
think,
ahead, coach.
yeah, it wasn't a pretty game. I think Ottawa won just off the fact they took care of the ball, got a good touchdown, uh, and they took care of the ball. That's pretty much what it came down to. The defense stepped up, did what they needed to do, get the hell out of Dodge. As far as Calgary goes, I'm not going to sit there and cry a foul when it comes to VA and him not throwing any touchdowns just yet. I mean, there's still a lot of time left in the season for VA to get on his shit. Things are situational. Everything is situational, and can you attack and can you get in the end zone? So they got to do a little better job at when they got possession, get in the end zone, get in the end zone, get in the end zone. You can't leave anything out there. You got to just do what you got to do to score and mix it up a little bit. That's what I see with them.
I think the thing with VA that's concerning is that he's tied for third in passing yards, and he has 3 interceptions and 0 touchdowns, and he has 803 yards. Like you're basically averaging about what that would be 275 or so a game,
About that, yeah.
um, and you have 0 touchdowns. Like I would be like if I was if he was in Ottawa and putting up that, I would be concerned, right? Like I know in game 1 against Hamilton, Dedrick Mills just kind of ran all over them and probably didn't need to worry about throwing the ball into the red zone, into the end zone. But again, in week 2 and week 3, I definitely feel like he had opportunities and just he missed them. But I don't know. I feel like I'm not gonna throw the panic button on it. Obviously, 1 week you could have like 4, and where people are gonna look at it completely different.
Yeah.
But I definitely think there's concern for Calgary. Like their schedule isn't getting easier. I think they play. They're on a bye this week, and then they play Winnipeg. I think coming out of the bye.
Well, it also just execution. I feel like some of their plays they leave more. There could be more that they could do, and that comes
Mhm.
down to the weapons that you have and utilizing them. And hey, I got all these guys that I can throw to. Somebody got to be the guy. Somebody got to be the red zone threat. You got Rhymes, you got Jones, you got Philpott, you got Barnes, you got weapons. Hell, you got Dedrick. Who's gonna be the guy to step up and be like, I want to be the red zone threat?
Yeah, I mean, Rhymes should be the red zone threat.
Yep.
Based off his size, like right, like you think he's like 6'5", he should be the red zone guy. So, they'll fix it on their bye. I mean, bye's coming at a good time. You get to rest, relax, figure out what wasn't working over the first 3 weeks, and then you come out of the gate at home against Winnipeg to start week 5. So Calgary has, I mean, they get, like Blake said, I think that second, third, even the first. Honestly, I haven't really been impressed with Saskatchewan. I think
I would
everything's
agree with
up
that.
for grabs in the West. I think Montreal has been the clear dominant number one team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else below has just been kind of up for grabs. I mean, Ottawa get 1 and 2 with Toronto on deck. Perfect opportunity to kind of get into that second, solidify second early in the year. But we'll head over, finish off the week in BC as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers sweep the season series against the BC Lions in a 27-14 game that was out of reach by the first half. I don't know. I don't think Mazzoli was an issue for the most part. That James Butler drop lateral pass is inexcusable. I'm not putting that blame on Mazzoli. That is 100% a James Butler issue, and that is 100% on James Butler. I don't know why he
Just pick up the ball, even if you get tackled. Pick up the damn ball.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't just drop on it. Like, drop on it, you play until the whistle, right? No, there was no whistle. I don't know why you stopped playing. Their O-line looked bad, though. I will say that the Bombers were able to get some good pressure early and consistently. And then offensively, it looked like Claris was able to pick that secondary apart for the most part. Some tight throws, and then the Dalton Schoen touchdown at the end at the back of the end zone. That was just a beautiful throw. I don't think you could really do anything about that. But Blake, you want to go first, or you want to go last on this one?
I'll go first. Just get it out of the way. Like that was. Oh, I want to quote you guys something. The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Like after the first 2, 3 series, the long balls that Jeremiah was throwing clearly weren't working. So why were the Lions and Buck Pierce calling for them over and over and over and over? Like it worked one time. Hatcher made a jump ball catch one time, and on the very next play, Jeremiah threw an interception. Like, use your checkdowns. Use the 10, 15-yard routes. That's what they were using on the first series of the game. And it was working for the Lions. Like, they drove all the way down the field before they got stopped. And then they decided, no, we're going to throw the ball down the field every single time and expect a different result. Like, no. The Bombers knew exactly what was coming. It looked like they knew this was the same old game plan that they've had for the past 5, 6 years, and Buck Pierce was unwilling to change whatsoever, and it basically cost the Lions the game and the season series against the Bombers.
Y'all wanted him. Y'all wanted him. You got him. You play a buck ball.
Can I give him back?
Nah. Y'all got rid of Rick. Y'all got rid of Rick, and you got Rick 2.0. Stubborn
Shane,
ass
you're
football.
muted.
5 straight Grey Cups my ass.
Shane, you're muted.
Oh my God.
I guess
You're
we're
muted.
just talking because Shane doesn't realize he's muted.
Nah.
Oh, there we go.
How y'all? I'll go. No, it was a great performance from Winnipeg's defense. I don't know what the hell Buck and them boys was doing over there as far as the offense goes. I agree with Blake. Use your checkdowns. Like they were afraid to go to their checkdowns. Let JB spin a little bit. Them, a lot of those deep balls, some of them were 50-50. You can't. They're testing that secondary because they're not the same secondary as they were last year. But you got Bonds, you've got Parker out there. You still got strong guys in the box with Willie leading the front. Hey, sorry, Blake. You wanted Buck, like I said. You wanted Buck. Y'all wanted him. Oh, he's got Grey Cup experience. Oh, he's been to 5 straight Grey Cups. Nah.
We got him.
Live with it.
Yep.
Y'all want Milanovic?
No. I want you, coach. I want you to coach the Lions.
Oh no, I'll get fired in the first day. I'll be cussing everybody out. Shane will be my offensive coordinator.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I said you should be my offensive coordinator if we coach the Lions.
Oh. I think Shane's having some difficulties, but can you hear us?
This is the same shit from last year.
I don't think he can hear us, but we can hear him.
Fuck it. Look, hey, I'm gonna ask this question though. You guys got JB. Why are you guys not running the ball with him?
I don't know, coach. Like I don't know. We got the man for a reason. Like he was good for us when he was here last time. Like give the man the ball. I get why like you wouldn't want like maybe you want to punish him a little bit after the play that happened, which like Shane said, probably deservedly so. But like it just doesn't make any sense. Like it's like you said, coach, you said it perfectly. It's basically like Rick 2.0. Run the ball on first down, get 2 yards, throw a 25-yard pass, incomplete, punt the ball away. Next series, play action, doesn't work, incomplete, 2nd and 10, throw a 15-yard pass, incomplete, punt the ball again.
But y'all going for the gusto like so many damn times. Like y'all going for the deep play so many times because it's like y'all playing from. But when you play from behind, pause. You're gonna take chances. You're gonna take some chances, but not that many. Not
No,
that
I
many.
agree. Like not
Give
that
yourself a
many.
chance.
Shane's back now. Shane, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't know what the hell happened.
We could still hear you, but you couldn't hear us. That was weird, but
Yeah, like audio. I was looking at the stats and the audio just dropped, and I'm like, what?
Oh,
Last thing I heard was talking about Rick Campbell, and you gave up Rick Campbell for him, and that's the last I heard because I was like,
we gave up Rick Campbell for Rick Campbell 2.0, basically.
yeah, and then I said no, you didn't even get that. You got like Make-A-Wish Rick Campbell.
yeah.
And then the audio cut out, and I'm like,
See,
shit, they didn't want me to say that clearly.
Yeah, they shut that shit down real quick.
Just like how Blake got shut down earlier. We're talking about Luke Wilson.
they
Then he got told that he had that phone call was his agent, his FBI agent, being like, you can't say what you're gonna say. You gotta be careful.
You gotta be PC, pal. But BC, it's muddy waters right now for y'all. I don't know. And it's funny because like it was only 2 years ago y'all had the ultimate receiver room.
I know.
It was it was beautiful. And
it
now
was
it's
so
like
good.
Oh
man.
Those is.
Yeah, now it's garbage.
Oh well, hey.
It's not garbage. It's just not as good as it was.
Because y'all don't run the ball.
I know.
The line is kind of shaky. I will say that, as Shane said, the line was shaky. Oof. Tip drilling out.
Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll run it this week.
Hey man, Ottawa wasn't running it, and then they started running it, and their offense started working. Because the run game matters.
Win the trenches. I've been saying that for 3 years. Whoever wins the trench battle is gonna win the game.
Let the big boys eat up front.
That's they did. Say. Winnipeg ate with that red zone play. They had y'all looking stuck.
That O-line TD, nice little toe tap.
And they say big guys ain't got footwork. Look at that. And it would be against BC. I would expect it. I would expect it against goddamn Hamilton or goddamn fucking Toronto.
Edmonton.
But y'all, something wrong with
Yeah,
y'all.
it's I think they had given up at that point. That was why. But
I think what's kind of crazy, Keon Hatcher leads the league in targets with 26. He only has 14 receptions.
oof,
Like,
oof.
it's actually kind of. Justin McInnis has 25. He has 18 receptions. He leads the league. But what's crazy is that the top four is Keon Hatcher at 26. You got Kenny Lawler, and this is in yards. So Keon Hatcher leads the league in yards with 294. But then Kenny Lawler's at 23 targets and 14 receptions. DeMonte Coxey is at 25 targets, 14 receptions. And
Damn.
Keyshawn Johnson is at 21 targets and 16 receptions. So the top four yards guys have an atrocious catch to reception rate. Like their catch rate is atrocious. So far through 3 or 2 weeks, like depending on the receiver. So just an interesting little tidbit there for how that the top half of the receivers are going. So
They ain't got no weapons in BC other than Hatcher and McGinnis. That's it. Oh, and Berryhill, but Berryhill ain't getting the touches like he should. But
Nope.
y'all offense is super duper fluky.
Vanilla.
You got an offensive guru as your head coach. Figure it out. Remember,
Let's move on. Let's do our picks
no.
for this week.
Remember, Buck is the reason why Winnipeg's been to 5 Grey Cups. That's what they like to say.
Yeah, now they're gonna say now the Bombers fans are gonna say he's the reason the
it was
Lions
LaPolice
suck.
the first two.
That's like,
You
that's like saying Chris Jones the reason why Hamilton didn't well. Nah, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm shut up.
No. Chris Jones. I will give Chris Jones credit for what he did in Hamilton.
Yeah.
He's a great DC. That's all he should ever be.
Yes.
Yep.
Same with LaPolice as far as offense.
OC.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. He needs to be just an OC. But yeah, let's jump into this week's games. Cole is obviously not here, so he's already submitted his picks. He is going with. Let me just bring it up. He will be going with Winnipeg, Montreal, Saskatchewan, and Ottawa this week. We all had decent weeks last week. I went 4-0 thanks to the Ottawa Redblacks coming up on top over Calgary. Everyone else went 3-1. Cole currently has a 10-2 record. And then we have Blake in at second at 9-3, Coach at 8-4, and I'm coming up at 7-5. So we're kind of all close to each other.
We're all doing better than last year.
Oh yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
Yes.
So starting off in Winnipeg with the Elks going to Winnipeg. I have a feeling this is going to be a clean sweep for Winnipeg, but I mean, I know Blake's kind of this must be a tough one for you, Blake, because you hate both these teams.
No, it's not tough, but anyways, go on, Shane.
I feel like this is going to be all Winnipeg. At least I'm going Winnipeg on this one. I don't really need to go into much detail over this. Winnipeg has won their first 2 games pretty handedly. They've looked really good offensively. They haven't really missed a beat without Brady Oliveira back there. I think Peterson has done a really good job replacing him. And then the Elks defense doesn't know how to tackle, and their quarterback doesn't know how to read his progressions properly in the first half.
God damn.
So, I'm going Winnipeg here. I think it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm Coach, you want to go or do you want me to go?
You go, baby.
I'm gonna go Winnipeg as well. Like I don't agree with Shane that the offense has looked as good as he thinks it has for Winnipeg. I think that was a kind of 50-50 that the Lions defense was worse than the Blue Bombers offense. But if you still give me Zach Claros or Trey Ford over their entire careers, I'm going to take Zach Claros 99 times out of 100. And especially with this game being in Winnipeg, I think that unfortunately the Blue Bombers will move to 3-0 and they will do it pretty convincingly over the Elks.
Coach?
Winnipeg by 50. Let's move on.
Exactly. Second game, Friday night, 7:30 start in Hamilton. We got the Montreal Alouettes going up against the 3-0 Montreal Alouettes going up against the 0-2 Hamilton Tiger Cats. Again, I feel like this might be a pretty unanimous pick with Montreal going in and just shit kicking the Ticats this week. Even if it's McCall Bethel Thompson, I think that defense and offense are just too good. Hamilton has shown too many issues. They released Kyle Wilson today. Don't really know what happened with that one. I haven't really seen someone get released with a thank you graphic, so I wonder if it was a mutual or if he asked for his release. I don't know. But yeah, I think Montreal's going to go in there and just shit kick Hamilton and the former donut box.
I'm gonna go with Hamilton on this one. No, I'm kidding.
You know what? Hey, you better be careful because I might just say, you know what? Screw it. That's the first word that came out of your mouth. I'm putting you to it.
No,
I'm
going with Montreal. Like, even as you said, Shane, even with MBTU, like we saw this with Davis last year. Like when he was the backup and when Cody was the starter. Cody went down early in this season it ended up being 4 games, and the Alouettes didn't miss a beat. They went 4-0 in those games. Like right now, Davis Alexander has the second best start, I think, in CFL history. He's up to 7-0. I don't think it matters who you throw at quarterback for that Alouettes team. They're going to produce, somewhere between 220 and 300 yards, probably throw 2-3 touchdowns, and that defense is going to lock it down.
Yeah, Montreal's gonna expose that Hamilton secondary. It's not even like a question. It's just how we gonna do it. They're ready, and they're gonna run the table with that one. So Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy. Now we're gonna get into the tough ones, because it does sound like Jake Mayer will be starting on
Cousin Jake
on Saturday against the BC Lions, and it does. Hey, it's still up in the air. It does sound like Mazzoli should be getting the start, but Nathan Work has been splitting first team reps, so there's a chance that Nathan Work sees the field. I kind of debated on this one. I went back and forth a lot because I really don't trust Jake Mayer to win a game for any team. I know. Hey, coach, you don't have to, facts over feelings. Remember, facts are facts. Facts over feelings. But I also don't think Mazzoli is good enough to win games anymore. And I love Mazzoli.
Wait. I'll ask you. Sorry to cut you off, Shane, but I'll ask you a question. If it's like 7-6 at halftime, and both quarterbacks are performing bad, if I'm the Lions, I would think about going to Chase Bryce. Like at some point, you have to find out what you have. Like he's been in the organization 2-3 years, and other than garbage time, he hasn't gotten any real time.
Well,
at some point,
exactly
if it's not working, you need to figure out what you have.
Let Bryce roll the dice.
That's kind of where I'm at. So I'm going to go BC. I think
here.
I don't trust Jake. Okay, I just don't trust him.
We know.
So don't act surprised that I'm picking BC.
I'm just
so
saying,
disrespected, acting like I'm not valid. But I also, it's not even that. Is that I love Tommy Stevens as a short yardage quarterback. I'm not sold on him being an every down back quarterback. So if Jake Mayer were to get hurt, hopefully he doesn't. If Tommy Stevens has to go under center or go and take like live reps that aren't short yardage, I don't think he could do it. I feel better with Bryce being able to take on a win if he has to play. So I'm going BC on this one.
Well, y'all know where I'm going. You know I'm riding with cousin Jake no matter what. I think with him.
Oh, I thought you were going BC the entire way.
Now you smoking crack. I have faith in the team. I have faith in the defense is going to force Mazzoli. If they put Bryce in there, we're going to fuck him up. We're going to fuck him up. because we're gonna throw that secondary. Roland's gonna do his thing. I think CJ Reeves is gonna have a big game. I expect a big game from CJ. Obviously, Jake. Let's not do too much with him. Let's not try to throw too many deep balls. Throw him about 2-3 of them. We good to go. AJ run the ball, and we got to get Kadeem in there. Mix it up a little bit. Get Kadeem in there. Let him run the ball, and let Kadeem the Dream do his thing. Riders easily.
Yeah,
We said that the last 3 weeks, and it has not been anything but easy for the Riders.
Yep,
Hell no.
I would agree with that. And I'm gonna go with Shane on this one. Like I'm gonna, and maybe this is the homer in me talking, but I'm gonna go with the Lions because number one, we already talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I know that Toronto somewhat did it last year. There's been a few other teams over the last few years that have started poorly and then turned it on in the second half on the way to a Western Final or Grey Cup or whatever the case may be. But the facts are the facts. The fact is, right now the Lions are 1-2. The other fact is, their schedule coming up is Saskatchewan, Montreal, Edmonton, Saskatchewan again. So on paper, especially if Nathan Rourke still isn't playing, the Lions on paper, you could argue they'd go 1-3 in that stretch, and or 1-3, and all of a sudden after 7 games, you're staring down a 2-5 record, and that puts you in a bad spot going into the rest of the season. I think the Lions know they played bad the last couple of weeks. I think in fact, I know that Buck has been working them hard at practice. They're going to come out, and I would not be surprised if Jeremiah struggles early, if they go to Chase Bryce, and Chase Bryce has a decent enough game where he can squeak by the Riders for the simple fact of the unknown. He is the unknown quarterback with the BC Lions. The Riders know Nathan Rourke. The Riders know Jeremiah Masoli. They don't know who Chase Bryce is. I also think the Lions know they have to get James Butler more involved. And once you get James Butler more involved, that opens up the passing game. I think it is going to be a close game, but I don't think the Riders are going to be undefeated after this week.
But
Give me
that
the
doesn't.
Lions with the upset.
But that doesn't mean. But that don't mean a hill of beans and don't mean dog shit. If your offensive line is gonna come into the game shaky against that front line.
No,
It,
you're
it
right.
don't mean much. We've seen for 3 weeks what that offensive line can do with Nathan back there, but with Jeremiah back there, they look piss poor.
Mm-hmm. No,
They
you're
look
100% right.
So next.
I mean, hey, it's going to be a good game.
Oh yeah,
But
it's
the
always good.
last game of the Canada Day weekend festivities is in the nation's capital with the 0-2 Toronto
Kind of
Argonauts.
fitting. But...
Um,
0-3.
0-3 Toronto Argonauts heading to the 1-2 Ottawa Red Blacks. I have the Red Blacks in this. I mean, I'm going to take Crum over Arbuckle. I also think that defense is just straight up trash in Toronto. Even like, and their injuries are just as bad as Ottawa's. Outside of Winton McManus, they don't have a lot going on for them. Yeah, I mean, in that offense, I mean, Arbuckle has his moments, but that offensive line has struggled. It's just that team has definitely taken a hit from losing so much talent. I believe, let me pull it up because I'm pretty sure they're also like second or third in sacks given up so far to start the year. So I have Toronto, or I have Ottawa winning this one. I think it's going to be a close one, but I definitely think it's going to be a Ottawa win. I mean, their ability to create turnovers for Ottawa has been crazy this year. 7 forced fumbles already. The next closest team is Montreal with 3 forced fumbles. So,
Coach, before you make your pick, I thought we were supposed to have a special guest this week. What happened to that?
Who?
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna get
Odell.
Odell.
I gotta reach out to him. I'll reach out to him afterwards.
Next week.
Next
But
week.
anyways, Coach, go make
Typical.
your pick.
Now you go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
All right. Um, Chad Kelly's not ready yet, right, Shane?
No, he's supposed to be another week.
Yeah. So in that case, like we talked about it last week, we talked about it at the beginning of the season. Um, Nick Arbuckle didn't even really win the East Final or the Grey Cup for the Argos last year. He game managed those games. Like he can game manage a game, but if your defense is giving up 39 or 32 to be exact, and your special teams forgets how to count to 12, it's not going to matter. I think the Red Blacks, I know that Drew Brown still might be another week as well, but I think Dustin Crum is just a better quarterback than Nick Arbuckle, flat and simple. And the Red Blacks will move to 2-2, and those two Ontario teams will finish the month of June without a win. Although I will say it would be kind of funny if our buddy Cliffy D Pines prediction came true and it ended in a tie. But
And yeah, I was right. They're second in sacks given up with or they're first with sacks given up so far this year with 9.
Mm.
So
Nah,
definitely not great for that offensive line.
I think with this one, it's gonna come down to who gets the ball last, who's gonna have the time of possession, who's gonna take care of the ball, and I think Ottawa is gonna do really well at taking care of the ball. Put belt to ass on this one right here. I think Ottawa's gonna pull out the W.
So we got a clean sweep in 3 out of the 4 games.
yes, I'm a gain on Cole this week. I'm a back in
Coach
first
and
place,
Cole.
baby.
Coach and Cole are going with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and myself and Blake are going with BC. That could be the difference maker. I'm currently a game behind Coach. Blake is currently a game behind Cole. Next week, we could all be, there could be a tie for first and second. Or those two are going to take an extended lead on us. We'll see. But that's our game of the week to watch out for in terms of our pick'em standings. But yeah, I mean, this should be an exciting week of weekend, Canada Day weekend up here. Unfortunately,
So
with
weird Canada Day being on a Tuesday.
Canada Day being on a Tuesday kind of sucks.
Coach gets the extra day off. 4th of July is on a Friday this year.
Shit, I'm gonna show up and show out.
So what you're saying is that we might not see Coach ahead of week 6.
Probably not.
He might still be recovering.
For what? I ain't gonna do too much. I'm gonna be low. I get drunk.
I don't believe that.
So, it's gonna be a fun week. It's gonna be a fun week of football as usual, and we're gonna see who's gonna do what they're gonna do. BC gonna get their belt to ass.
No, they're gonna give it.
Huh?
They're gonna give it this week. Go for it.
Oh, come
I
on.
believe.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be that guy.
Jake Mayer's going to throw like 125 yards and 4 interceptions.
I thought you were going to say 125. I thought you were going to say 125 interceptions.
That would be every pass attempt, just pick.
I ain't going to sit here and let y'all disrespect the great name of Jake Mayer like that.
I mean, I think you need to look up the definition of great if you're putting it in front of his name.
How many rings does Jake Mayer have?
Shit, not enough.
Unless you're talking about like high school rings.
That we don't.
I got like 1. Hey. You got rings for finishing 5th in the States. So.
Hey, we got enough going on here in the States already. Shit, we got enough problems.
Oh my gosh.
About participation rings.
Fuck, I don't believe in that. Fuck, if you lose, you lose. Blake, do you have
literally.
No,
there was a university that gave their football team rings for like a 7 and 8 or like a 9 and 7 season that didn't even end in a bowl win.
Georgia Tech.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
absolutely nuts.
As if y'all don't have participation trophies up there.
We do.
Like when we're like 6.
Hey, I'm all about winning. So fuck second place. Second place just means you the first loser. Take your L gracious.
The only time second and third place are acceptable are in international competitions.
Yep.
Why? The silver medal
because,
and
like,
the bronze medal just means the same thing. You
Nah.
lost.
Because when you're looking at it from an international competition, you're like being top 3 in the world for your
that's pretty good. But
that's impressive. That should be recognized.
Are we? Let's talk about it though, because who gonna win in hockey? That's the question.
Canada.
Like always.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Men's and women's.
Damn. Y'all just counting the U.S. out like we ain't shit.
Because you guys aren't. You literally took it 90 years to win another world championship. The
And
last time you won a gold medal was
we're also gonna
1996, and it
steal
was the
your
Canada
Walter Cup.
What?
Like the best players on American teams are Canadian.
Yeah. Well,
Like
I can't deny that. I can't.
we could send 3 teams to the Olympics and probably medal twice.
Because that's all y'all do is play hockey. That's the first sport.
Man, you can't even talk Canada beat the U.S. in flag football recently. We went 4-0 down there.
Flag football, not real football.
Disrespect to Coach Lapo.
Cole would say differently.
It ain't real football. I'll say that. Shit.
What about the U19 tackle football last year?
I saw. Put the pads on. Let's talk.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Oklahoma drill. Let's do the Oklahoma drill.
I don't think our knees could handle it, Coach.
Nah, we're Blake, how old are you?
Younger than you guys.
You're the same age as me.
Oh yeah, that's
Wait,
right.
how old are you?
27.
Dang,
are you 96? Are you 98 or 97?
97.
Yeah, okay, so we're the same age.
I'm 94.
Well, I'm older because I just turned 28, but like
you're 28.
I'm 28. I'm
God
97.
Damn.
But you old, Coach.
I'm 31. Shit, I'm the old dog.
Yeah, you are.
How old is
Before
Cole?
we leave,
Cole's
Coach, you got
20,
any
he's
plans
97. He's
to come up
27.
here this year?
Yeah, I got some time before we go to OTA, so I'm gonna try and slide up there couple days. I do want to get to Ottawa. I do want to hit Calgary. Calgary probably the first stop, but I want to hit
Please
Ottawa.
don't save yourself.
Why?
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Save yourself.
Why?
It's a dump. Like the stadium's a dump.
I didn't say that. I didn't say nothing about that. I didn't say
why are you
nothing.
going up to Calgary?
I want to do a July trip because we start our fucking training camp in August. So all my trips have to be in July, and then we go into our first game right before school starts. So
You're not even doing Banjo Bowl this year?
Nah, I ain't doing Banjo Bowl this year.
Nah,
I can't. We got football, man. Priorities.
Yeah, true enough. You got a state championship to go win.
Shit, we got a lot of work to do.
Are you just school? Or are you guys, how does it work in the States? Because like up here we have like 3 different levels of football, and they are all kind of their own thing.
So we have Class A, Class 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A. We're 4A this year, which is the toughest. And we've made the playoffs the last 5 years. This year we're the favorites, so we got to go do what we got to do. But we have to play the state champs at some point in the season. I think it's like week 4, week 5.
Dang.
And it's like, damn.
But is it school or is it like city?
High school, like state,
okay.
Like high school.
So you guys, like, it's similar to us. Like, you guys have like district that you gotta win, like regional, and then you go to state, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like you gotta win your conference, and then you gotta go on, do your thing, regional, all that shit. It's more complicated with basketball, but football is very straightforward. You got to get out the first round, get to the second, semifinals, state.
That's not bad.
Because I mean, in Ontario, we don't like high school football is okay. Like it's not great because like it's city and provincial that like that's where you make your name is playing your local, because like city ball now in Ontario is like it's like the Ottawa area versus the GTA.
Greater Toronto area.
Yeah.
For like provincial, so at the end of the year they have like the winner of the Ottawa area plays the winner of the GTA area for the provincial level,
How's
and
that work in
then
Vancouver?
So it's like we have high school and we have club, and they're like completely split up. Like the high school, it's split into like double A and triple A, and like triple A is basically the bigger schools, double A is the smaller schools, and then like you make playoffs, first round, quarters, semis, and provincial championships, which is like basically the same as your state.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have club where it's like they play those on Sunday and it's with a lot of American rules.
Mm,
And then you play like you make playoffs, and if you win like the mainland league, then you play a team from the island for like basically the BC championships.
that's
oh
so
yeah,
confusing.
yeah, it's so much different in Ontario because like our high school, at least in Ottawa, we don't like high school like in Ontario. You don't play other districts. It's based off your city. So like Ottawa, I think there's like 12 high schools that have football teams within the Ottawa area, so they all play each other. Uh, and then they go into like provincials, which is like it's OFSA, and then they play teams from like then they play teams from the other district. But then you have like provincial, and you have two different types of it's a lot more confusing than it was like 10 years ago. And that's not even including like the CJFL, which
Why
is its
isn't there
own.
like you know how like NCAA they got the national championship, bowl games, and all that? Why is it so split? You got like Canada West, and then you've got you.
Travel.
Really?
They just don't
Yeah,
want to pay for travel.
It's
that's
They don't want
literally the
expensive.
only reason.
they don't want to pay. They like UBC. They don't want because like
They don't want to go to like
basically they don't want
Sherbrooke
UBC
or
going to
McGill.
Laval, or they don't want fucking Saint FX having to go to like Calgary
Or
because
UBC for that matter. That's even further.
yeah. So I'm surprised that we haven't seen like AUS and RSEQ kind of integrate a little bit more with their football scheduling. But yeah, it's just travel because most of these guys they leave Friday. Like you're leaving Friday, you're there Saturday, you're leaving Saturday after the game. You're back in your town. You're back in your school city for Saturday night. Depending on where you are, it might be Sunday, like Sunday during the day.
Damn.
Like that. That's just how it goes. So it's just straight travel.
Damn, y'all. It's because it's so confusing. Youth sports and CJFL and Canada West and all. It's like, damn, there's all
So
these.
basically, think about it this way, Coach. Like, think of it as a tiered program. Like we, especially in BC, we have high school football. If you do well at high school football, you have either two options. You can go to the CJFL or U Sports. A lot of the guys go to the CJFL. If you do well enough in the CJFL, then you can still get recruited by U Sports teams,
Mhm.
go play U Sports, and then get drafted to like the CFL, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So it's basically like this like U Sports. Think about U Sports is like so. Can West is like I don't know the SEC and or Ontario OUA is SEC. Uh, RSEQ is like the ACC. Like that's the same type of division breakdown. So you have your ACC championship, you have your OUA championship. It's the same
Okay.
way. The CJFL is what you guys would consider probably either FCS
Or
or
D2.
JUCO.
Okay.
Like that's what it would be comparable. I'd probably say closer to JUCO.
Mm.
Yeah.
JUCO, you play 2 years of JUCO and then still have 4 years of NCAA eligibility afterwards. It's
Yeah,
the
and
same
Shane, correct
thing.
me if I'm wrong, but no matter how much you play in the CJFL, you still keep your full U Sports eligibility.
Yeah, I mean, well, U Sports eligibility is its own little issue because I think you can't play past the age of 24 for football, which is
Yeah.
Damn.
stupid. And its own issue, which is why the CGFL is 18 to 22 because generally by your age 22 season, you should be moving on to U Sports. If you're going to go any further, you should be in U Sports by your 22 season or your age 23 season. Because then you go in, you have 2 years of U Sports eligibility, and you're good. Or you're getting drafted because technically
you can get drafted from the CJFL.
And that would technically be your draft year at age 22. So that's kind of how it works.
God damn.
So
24, god damn.
Yeah, so we don't have 30-year-old punters in our leagues who are going on their like 8th or 9th year of eligibility because the eligibility rules are stupid.
Hey, the portal.
Yep. Thank the portal, exactly.
Get paid, but hey.
I mean, hey, you're also and the beauty is you're seeing players going from CJFL to U Sports to NCAA in like a 3-year span.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So say what you want, but it's starting to have its like, you're starting to see the roots kind of grow and sprout a little bit more. So,
unbelievable. Yep.
But very confusing all around. I think, high school age sports are probably one of the most confusing leagues to follow. Like, no matter the sport. Football, hockey, basketball, all of it's confusing. Because it's like 700 different divisions for like a handful of schools.
Yep.
I can't even.
It's kind of, I mean, in the States, is it like one school, you're in one division no matter what, or is it based off your program strength?
It depends on, it's the number of your how many students you have in your school.
Okay, so it's the same up here then, or at least it's the same in Ontario.
Yeah, same in BC as well.
It fluctuates. Like, you might be 2A 1 year, and then all of a sudden you get more students, and then boom, you're 4A. It's a big jump, but you got to be a dominant program to be able to make that leap to 4A.
I know in Ontario it's your number of students plus I think your last 5 years record.
Right.
So even if you're like a lower attended school, but you're dominating that division, they'll jump you up a division and take down another school that has struggled. Even though they have a lot of kids, the program might be struggling. So to try to create more of a competitive balance, they kind of juggle schools around. So like, I know when I was in school, one of my schools, they were top division for like rugby and basketball and a bunch of other sports. But then like soccer, they were like the lowest division because like we didn't have a lot of soccer players. Our soccer teams weren't good. So I wasn't sure if that was the same or if it was different in the States.
Blake, did you play any high school sports?
I didn't. Like,
he was a cheerleader.
I wanted to, but like our football team like folded, like going into my grade 8 year, and then it never came back. And like I was just like I was never good enough to play any of the other sports like basketball or volleyball or any of that stuff. So
not even hockey.
We didn't have ice hockey at our school either.
That's a shock.
But
no, you want to know what I did to get out of school? Because I just wanted out of school in grade 10. I joined my team's curling club. We actually had a curling team, and they're like, "Yeah, who wants to do curling?" And I'm like, "I like watching it. It seems like a fun sport. It gets me out of school twice a week. Yeah, I'll sign up." So I did curling for like 3 months just so I could miss like 2 periods of school during the week.
That sounds like a good deal to me.
Were you good at it?
Yeah, I was actually.
Why aren't you at the Olympics?
They didn't take it seriously. Honestly, the one disappointment I had for high school was there was no wrestling teams.
Oh, that would have been nice.
My first high school didn't have a wrestling team, and the second high school I went to, I was the only person who signed up. And they're like, I can't have one person sign up. And I'm like, well, that's disappointing. And then, yeah. But I did rugby. Rugby was my thing.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. I had to play with I was playing with the senior club when I was in grade 9.
That's not surprising.
That's not surprising.
It's not.
Not just how big you are. Blake, I'm
Yeah.
just shocked you didn't play any sports.
I tried, but like
Thought
I
you didn't
said,
play good golf or badminton or something.
no, not for me.
Damn, Blake.
Uh,
We out
You
here
do chess club?
body
Was that
shit.
your thing?
yeah, absolutely. I was checkmate, guys.
Oh my god. Time to go. It's time to go home.
No, he was going to like the Risk club. He was playing Risk during lunch. Had a full year of Risk ready to go.
He was playing he was part of the Dungeons and Dragons club.
To be fair, I can't even hate. We had a Yu-Gi-Oh club before school.
Hey,
We'd get there at like 8:15, and we just play Yu-Gi-Oh for the first like hour before school started.
That's pretty dope, honestly.
And like no one could hate because like you had people from grade 12 all the way through grade 9. You had like the jocks and the nerds participating. Like it was literally that one club. That wasn't really a club. It just kind of happened. And no one really made fun of anyone for participating in it because you had a wide range of people participating in it and openly participating in it during school. So it was just kind of what happened. It was actually a lot of fun, but it was funny.
that sounds like a lot of fun shit. I just popped in there.
Yeah, I don't know, it started happening one day before school, and then next thing you know, it was like full on things during like lunch and stuff. It was great. Take up like 5 different tables and just like duel during lunch and during before school. It was a lot of fun.
So we out here sacrificing our bodies, and Blake is just sitting there kicking it.
Yep.
Were you a theater kid, Blake?
No, absolutely not. I was not a theater kid.
So what did you do in high school?
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't do nothing. I went to school, I did my assignments, and I came home.
So you were the ghost of the school, is what you're saying. Is that you were the ghost of the class?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh my god. Blake.
Oh, Blackie.
Blake, you surprise me more and more every single time.
I honestly thought maybe you would have done like AT club, like AV club, and like I did
No,
that because that was fun.
I hated school so much that I literally I'm not kidding. I just went to school for like as little as possible, and then I came home.
You just skip out
Bro, I hated school so much, which is why I joined clubs so I could get out of class.
Okay, all right.
I hated and this is kind of funny because like I hated school so much that I was doing AV club. I was helping out with like drama and dance and like their productions, and I was doing shit to get me out of class, not
Blake,
to just.
Oh God, Blake.
What did you do in school, Coach? Were you just football?
Football, basketball, track and field. I tried wrestling, but that shit, I tore my knee up. I was like, fuck this shit. I ain't finna sit here and have me out for football and basketball. Which I enjoyed it. I enjoyed wrestling for like the 2 weeks I went, and I was like, nah, I'm good.
See, I wish our school had a better like track and field program. Cause like they did javelin, but like the discus and like the shot put and whatnot, it was kind of garbage. And like they never took it seriously. And I was like, I guess I ain't doing this.
No, I tried to do javelin one day when my field coach was like, go do javelin. But for some reason, I didn't take it seriously because I was too busy making African noises and just being overly racist to my old people. It was disrespectful. He's like, get out, go, just go run. I was like, gotcha.
Yeah, no, I wanted to do the shot put and the discus, but Ottawa was lame. It didn't have many competitions.
Fuck. And this is why we dominate sports.
Like,
I can't even.
Well, it's also because like I was like 15, 16, and I was like 275, and I was out throwing the kids that were there by like a significant different like distance that like I couldn't really compete.
Wait, I got a question before we go. Blake, how did you and Cole meet? Did y'all go to school together or no?
We literally met like the beginning of last year. It was like the Lions put like a thing on they were looking for like a social like media something or other, and like we both applied for it, and then I was like, oh, like good luck to you, man, or whatever, and then we just like started talking on the side.
Oh, I thought y'all knew each other for a long time.
No, it's literally only been like 2 years.
Jeez. That's crazy. That's crazy, man.
But
The
friendships
dynamic-
come out of weird places, that's for sure.
ain't that
Well,
the
ain't that the
fucking truth?
truth?
Ain't that the fucking truth? I mean, look at us.
Yep.
Yeah,
Look at us.
exactly.
Man, let's get out of here, y'all. I'm tired.
Yeah, that's fair. I got work in the morning. Thank you all for staying around for the after hours and enjoying the after credits, the Wish version of Marvel, the MCU version. This is where we talk, more personal stuff versus just the football side of things. But thank you all for joining and listening to this episode of the CFL Weekly Show. Hope you enjoy your Canada Day and the Canada Day slate of games. Remember, check us out, 13th Man Football on Instagram and X/Twitter, however you want to refer to it. Catch Coach Phil at Coach Phil Reacts on all socials. And Blake, you're pretty private on your socials. You have still your pre-designated name on Twitter.
Yeah.
You haven't changed it. But where can where can people find you on Instagram and on Twitter? Because I can't remember your names on the top of my head. My bad.
Yeah, it's on my Twitter. It's at Blake3653, and I'm pretty active there throughout, but definitely more in CFL season. I'm a little more active. My Instagram I don't use as much. Like once in a while, it's like I'll go like a week where I post twice, and then I'll go 2 months without posting. But my Instagram is at b.milton97.
There it is.
Yeah, that's great. And remember, guys, if for all your CFLPA and Retro CFL merch, head over to Royal Retros. Use promo code 13th Man Football to get 10% off your order. And again, enjoy the weekend. We'll catch you here next week, and hopefully Cole will be joining us. And it'll be the second time this season that hopefully we'll have all 4 people here for an episode. But yeah, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.